Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Calibria Crystal Guardians. In this episode, I'm going to do a little spotlight on Arcanist. As you can tell, I've made 3 Arcanist 6 stars. 2 of which I have sanctified, and yeah. With Arcanist, she's a very, very good unit and very versatile. Her skill set is just phenomenal. She's useful in lots of different content and many different ways to build her for different things. So let's go over her skills real quick. The first attack hits 2 times, does a decent amount of damage, and if you get a critical, chance to reduce attack and poison. The poison doesn't really matter, but it's a 100% chance to attack break and a chance for poison. The attack break really helps for like Colossus and stuff like that, Hydra, so it is actually a good thing. And because she hits 2 times with a basic attack, she's good in Hydra, as you can tell in the Hydra video I did. The second skill, she has 2 different ones, and they're unique in their own different way. So we'll go with the Arcane Blast one first. Attack an enemy 4 times. Attack different random enemies 4 times. Add an additional bolt for every enemy that has a buff, up to 4 times. So that means she can technically hit up to 8 times, depending upon how many buffs the enemy has. Each bolt does 80% attack and damage and has an 80% chance to convert the buff to poison for 2 turns. Enemies that have those buffs are targeted first. So she's going to throw these attack up to 8 hits randomly. So it's really a useful skill in, say, Arena, specifically for going against Elven Queens. Anybody that doesn't realize it, if you build her not so much in the damage, but as like a stripper, she's not the greatest stripper in the world, but she can have a 100% chance to strip a buff and convert it into a poison. So that's 8 hits, 4 enemies, and the Elven Queen puts up 2 buffs. So technically she could strip all the buffs and turn all the buffs into poison for the entire team. There is that potential, and with the skill ups, it's 100%. So if you're considering, I don't have a stripper or who should I use, that is a possibility. It's not the greatest stripper, but it could potentially work if you wanted a stripper in a team. And her other skill too is Arcane Shock. Attack 4 random enemies again, and for each negative status effect on an enemy, attack an additional time up to 4 times. So that's 8 hits, depending upon how many debuffs they have. So if you put debuffs on an entire enemy team, there you go. She gets 4 more attacks. Enemies without buffs are targeted first. Each attack deals 155% attack and damage. See, I don't have any skill ups into Arcanist, and she still does amazing. So we'll go on to her skill 3 passives. Well, 2 passives and an actual skill. This is the least useful, but it does have some use. Gain immunity against action lock, which means she can't be stunned, she can't be anything like that. And a chance to ignore enemy resistance, which is actually a really good thing for the strip. Remember? So if you combine the Arcane Mastery and Arcane Blast, she has a chance to completely strip and poison the whole team, which is actually a pretty damn good skill. I mean, it's not the best in the world, but it works. So we'll look at the next passive. Magic Pierce. When attacking an enemy with a negative status effect, remember, negative status effect, attack up to an extra 4 times. 70% chance to increase damage by 20%. And then when skilled up, that's a 100% chance. So that's a 20% attack buff. Just like damage buff, sorry. Increased damage by 20%, which is really nice. It's not bad at all. For a passive, that's awesome, especially when combined with Arcane Shock, which already does a good bit of damage, and I'll show you here in a minute. And then you have Diffuse. Spread the target's negative status effect to all enemies and immediately gain another attack turn. People don't realize just how useful this skill is, and I'll go over what it does and how effective it is for different things. I wish Vapor was already reset. It's going to be resetting later tonight, and I'll be using her on occasion. I mean, honestly, I see her being good in, and then we'll just say her critical, all allies crit 24% leader skill. But for Arcanist, she's useful in Colossus. She's useful in Hydra. She's useful in Leviathan. She's okay in Leviathan. I mean, she does have a strip, so she could be useful in Leviathan. Not the best, but she's useful. She's very useful in Viper Dreamland. She's useful in Spire. Some things in Spire. She could be used in almost any of the lawful, chaotic, magic dungeons for the magic marks. There's a couple that she probably wouldn't be too good for, like chaotic maybe, but lawful, evil, stuff like that she'd be pretty decent in, just because she'll have a good bit of damage. As far as anything else, I mean, that's pretty much all the content, and she's amazing in PvP. And I'll show you why I think she's amazing in PvP. I won't be showing you this passive because it's pretty obvious what it does. Adds damage. So I'll be using this one to show you what it does. So I already showed her in PvE content in my Hydra video. So if you wanted to see how she does in like Hydra or something like that, go check out my Hydra 10 video I just posted yesterday. In this, let me see if I can find somebody I can just speed nuke. Oh, that's not cool. That is a really bizarre team. Why do I have a feeling there's some kind of weird... There's got to be a trick to that. I don't know. Yeah. Somebody has to be able to be nuked. Oh. Yeah. What speed? Oh, I can make that work. Alright. So for the team I like to use her in, you might have seen it inside of the other content, the Inferno. So mine is not that well ruined. She's pretty decent, but not amazing. You just want better stats overall. But this is her this is a nuking version of her with Diffuse. For her skills, she's really, really good if paired with certain things. So for this team, I'm going to put, like I said, debuffs on them. So now they're all defense broken. And now, to just help with that, now that debuff is there, alright, so you see how she doesn't have high hit, so this might not work properly, but she's supposed to spread out the negative effects. So that stun, that slow, and everything on the Windwalker is potentially going to spread to the other ones. See how the Druid is now stunned and slowed? That's what it does. You take the debuffs from one target and spread it to the whole enemy team. It works in Vapor Dreamland as well. So if you stun or just put a bunch of poison or bleed or something on one target, and then you use that diffuse, you could actually diffuse those poisons to the whole team. So you could have like 8 poisons on one target, diffuse it, and the whole group of targets in Vapor Dreamland have 8 poison at that point. And she's just a really hard-hitting nuker. This is 8 hits because they have so many debuffs on them. This is going to hit 8 times, and it's going to hit hard. So, I mean, you're looking at like 20, 25, 30,000 per hit. And that was 38,000 for her skill 1 attack. So it hits hard. Very hard. Another easy one. Okay. So we'll just do it again. But yeah, that's Diffuse. That is the Arcanist in a nutshell. Overall, an amazingly useful monster. Boom. And remember, Diffuse. Well, she has no hit, so they just resist it. So whatever. But here's some damage. If she crits, jeez. And there you go. And that is her. And yeah, I have her on Scorn right now. I switched it over for Hydra. But for her Sanctified skills, you can put any number of them. You could put Fearless if you want to always guarantee not a reduction in damage and stuff like that. The damage for shields is useful in certain scenarios. The Restraint is also very, very useful with the Diffuse. So if you diffuse the Enchantress's stun to the whole enemy team and then use this as your Sanctify, you can do a whole lot of extra damage. So that is a potential. Brave, I don't see Brave being that good for her. I mean, it could be okay for certain dungeon things like Hydra, but I think Scorn would still be better for her specifically. But in general, that's Arcanist. I mean, this is my build, attack per damage attack. I mean, that's just a magic slot 6. I mean, I don't have amazing runes. A couple 5-star runes and stuff. Not amazing runes. They were just thrown on there. In the end, I mean, you could build her any number of different ways. So if you're gonna build her for, the Diffuse and Arcane Blast and stuff to strip and poison and stuff like that, for her to be a debuffer or something like that, put her speedy with hit, stuff like that. For Vapor Dreamland, you're gonna want Berserk or Agile or something like that. But in general, that's Arcanist, guys. And she does have a skin, and it does look pretty cool. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. But to each their own. For that's going to be it for this video, guys. I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you very much.